Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Well, today I got a good one for you. We're going to be building an outdoor storage enclosure behind a restaurant. They're going to be using it to put a rolling barbecue and other miscellaneous things in. Super heavy duty. Let's get started. All right, so like usual, everything is super heavy duty. This is some 3-inch square tube here, 120 wall, I believe, and you can see I made this shop cart, and man, this thing has come in handy. I'm telling you, my welding table is not quite big enough for this particular project, and this is what I've got to make it happen. This little welding cart's the same elevation as my welding table and my workbench, at least close, within a quarter inch or so. So you see me just getting things lined up right here. And I had this pre-cut at my metal supply store. It's just that much easier for me. It doesn't really cost that much more. And like I've mentioned in a couple of my other videos, it's really important to get everything perfectly level and perfectly flat before you start any fabrication. It just makes the job turn out that much easier at the very end. You know, now you guys may have seen that I have all these wood shims, all different sizes, shapes, and they come in handy for this reason right here. You know, quarter inch. I've got all different sizes. It helps to get everything nice and level. And as you can see right there, perfectly level, perfectly square, and I think I'm ready to get going here now. Once everything is perfectly flat and square, one more check for square. The reason why I do all this is because I'm telling you, I've learned the hard way, and if you don't double check everything, yeah, nothing but problems. So we're going to be working off the HTP ProPulse 200 here today, and I'm just tacking in a few places all the way around, and you know, it's nice to get as many tacks as you can possibly get, especially on something of this size right here. You know, I just want to be sure that nothing's going to move around, and once I got it done, there's just a sample of the way this machine performs. I just went around and did the same all the way around. You know, it doesn't really matter because in the long run, doesn't matter what they look like, they're ultimately going to get ground down. And that's exactly what I'm doing right here. Got the old Walters grinder right here. This thing works out really good. This is very smooth operating, relatively new to the shop, and it's really a smooth operating angle grinder. And the flap discs that they provide are amazingly sharp, and you know, not to mention, I think once you're done using them, you can even cut them down in a couple of 2 or 3 different times. But anyways, there it is, all smoothed out and ground down. Now it's time to move this thing again off my welding table and down to the flat surface to start putting the vertical uprights or the legs on this thing. Once again, my floor is not level, so I want to get everything perfectly level, especially for this application here, you know, getting the legs together. Before I do that, I had to do a little bit of trimming. These are the things that I didn't get cut to the right size, and so I just need to cut a little bit off the end right here. Clamp everything down, just cut it right through. You know, I always try to provide you guys with some really interesting angles, and I thought this was a pretty good angle, but I guess I needed some light in there ultimately. I thought it was going to turn out better than it did, but oh well, nevertheless, that's something different. All right, so standing these things up, you know, and trying to get everything square is a bit of a challenge for me. You know, my big belly and me bending over and doing all this, it's made it a little bit of a challenge, and sometimes I got to get into these awkward positions just to get things welded out, but I managed to get it done. You know, it took a little bit of time though. This wasn't as easy as I thought. There was multiple times I had to go back and forth and get the things nice and plumb, and even then it was a little bit difficult. And I'm telling you, it's really important that everything is nice and plumb, especially in the area where the gate is going to go. And you know, you want that everything nice and square, so when you build the gate, it all looks really good. So this is I think the last of the total of 5 legs that are going on this thing. Yeah, I did have a little bit of trouble getting everything plumb. Pulled out the ratchet straps, did to do some pulling here, twisting there, pulled it together, but ultimately, got everything where I wanted it to be. Nice and plumb, nice and square, looking good. Took a little bit, and then it's time to start welding everything out. And that's the fun part. Didn't take too long to do all this, once you get everything where it needs to be. And things are starting to take shape here a little bit. Finally, it's a pretty big project right here. This is the position I was telling you about. You can't, you got to get into all kinds of different positions to get this thing done. At least I do. There's some of the welds on the inside, and obviously these are not going to get ground out. They are what they are, and which is fine. All right, so now it's time to start getting the side panels put together here. This is 2-inch angle iron, 1/8 of an inch thick wall, and I got to cut everything on a 45, and they're going to go on each end of this particular enclosure. And it's kind of tricky cutting this stuff right here on a 45. Boy, I tell you, it could get dangerous if you don't have everything clamped in there the way it's supposed to be. But I've done it enough now. I've learned my lessons. Let me tell you. That's a big old pile iron. It's finally starting to go down. We're starting to get everything all cut and where it needs to be, and starting to put things together. It's been a big project right here, but it's coming along. Now you can only imagine here, looking at the frame, looking at the legs, now looking at this angle, and all of a sudden in your head you're starting to think, wow, this thing is going to get heavy here. And that's, in fact, it sure did. Once I got everything here, I'm just tacking in and just, the angle iron for the corner right here, and you'll see the 45s just kind of weld them in every 8 or 10 inches or so. That's all it really needs. That's not going anywhere. Kind of matches the existing thing that's the existing storage that's there, and you'll see that later on in this video. And this screen right here, this is expanded metal. Now this is a little bit different size. I was really kind of unaware that this is not a 4x8 sheet. I think this is a 5x10 sheet. This was a weird size. It was like 52 by 64, and I had to buy two big sheets of this to have this cut out. But I wanted it in one piece. I didn't want any pieces together, and so that's what I did. And I just kind of stitch welded all the way around, and that's all it really needs. It's not going anywhere, and you can see it. This is just an 1.5 by 1.5 square tube support that's in the center. It just give it a little bit of rigidity there, and then something to weld the screen to as well. Just finishing up, doing all the welding. And now this is the front part. I know it's hard for you guys to tell. I'm just trying to help you out along here. This will be the front part of the enclosure. This is going to be next to the gate. Now this is what's going to have the wood on it, and you'll see that here in a minute. But once I got everything pieced in there, and you can see the ratchet straps up there. Again, I was trying to do everything I could to get this to be as square and as plumb as possible. Well, it's kind of comical, the things you got to do to try to get it right, but anyways, it's working out pretty good. This is the other end, so this is the last of it right here, and but again, you can see just about every 6 to 8 inches, and then here's the last piece of that expanded metal. And just stitch welding it all the way around is all it really needs, and held it in place pretty good. And then there it is. It is just complete. All the welding is done, and so now what's left is to go ahead and start putting the wood on the front. And that's what we're doing right here. This is 2x6 Doug fir. Just got it at the local Home Depot. And I'm just going to cut everything to length. It's quite a bit of boards because not only am I doing the front side here that you're going to see, but I also had to build a gate that goes next to it. And I'm not going to show you that because it's relatively the same exact thing as what we're doing here. But once I got all the boards cut out, I just took like 100 grit on my palm sander right here and just took all the rough stuff from the sawmill off and just made it somewhat smooth. That's all it really needed. And once I got all that done, it was time to put some polyurethane on. I put 3 coats of polyurethane on, front, back, sides, and corners, and that really made it durable finish right there. And then drilling all the holes to get everything perfectly where it needed to be. I made this little jig right here. You know, you hear me talk about making jigs a lot for different applications. Well, for something like this, and I mean, I literally must have had 100 holes close to it that I had to drill. And, you know, I wanted everything exactly the same spot, spaced out evenly. And I just thought this was the easiest and fastest way to do it. And it was. It worked out really good. And everything is exactly where it needed to be. It didn't take any time at all to drill out all those holes. You can see right there, it's pretty good finish. Worked out pretty good. And then it's time to start assembling everything. And so I just basically... I bought a brand new drill bit for this. This is a Cobalt drill bit. I don't know, I might have paid like $20 for it. I bought 2 of them because I thought maybe I might need more than one. And of course, box of nuts and bolts and lock washers. And I just started drilling and putting bolts in, putting the nuts on, and you can see just drill the hole. And then I just set those carriage bolts, a little tap on the end, and lock washer and a nut, and tighten them up with the air tool, and did the same, repeated the same process all the way up. It was quite a process, but you know, little spacer in there, tons of nuts and bolts, tons of drilling, and it's amazing how that one drill bit it lasted the whole duration. Not only with this, but when I even built the gate itself, and still is sharp, still is drilling pretty sharp. I mean, these are just drill bit shavings, and you can imagine this is on every corner, well, at least on the front side anyway. And there it is, a ton of bolts put through there. Talk about heavy duty. I mean, you kidding me? This is nuts. So all the while I'm doing this, I'm knowing that this thing is going to be so heavy, I don't know how I'm going to move it. But ultimately, I got my guys together. We figured it out. Put it on some pipes, rolled it out of the shop. And I tell you, I was glad to get this thing out of the shop. It had been in there for at least a week doing all this work. And it was delivery time and installation time here. And I managed to get everything outside. So I'm off to this point right here. And then it was time to try to figure out how we're going to get this thing up on the truck. This is the first go at it. Got it halfway up there, and we just worked our way up, and finally we were able to roll it up onto the truck, and got it up on the truck. And you can see us right here, a couple shots of getting it off the truck behind the restaurant. That was kind of fun in itself, and it didn't quite work out the way I was hoping, but ultimately we got it all in, and there it is with the gate installed, and right next to the existing enclosures that was there that I had to try to match. And I gotta say, I think it turned out pretty good. It was a great little project. Looks like it belongs right where it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more videos.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.